I was ready to give up. JavaScript had me questioning everything, but then something clicked. I do want to give a disclaimer. I am sick. I know you could definitely hear it in my voice. If my nose runs and it's just like a little drip, ignore it. I will make sure I get it. But if I say something important, I might have to leave it in. You know what I'm saying? 2 months into learning web development. Now, if my brain and my face wasn't so congested, you would see the happiness across my face, because I definitely am happy that I stayed this committed. And you know, there's a couple people that have been commenting, like saying they love my consistency, and thank you so much, man. Those type of comments, they keep me going. But if you're watching this and you are on a similar journey of trying to learn something to better yourself or to have a better future career, or just learning in general, possibly even filming, right? Maybe just starting out, maybe in the thick of it, just like me, or shoot, even further than that, and actually in an actual career after doing all this learning. But either way, I just want to talk to you honestly about what these 2 months actually look like for me, what I have learned, and what has been helping me. So if you haven't seen it yet, I already made a first video that was talking about my first 30 days of pursuing web development or learning web development. So you could definitely go check that out if you want to hear more about my first month. I'm going to give a brief explanation here because I really want to talk about this second month, because month 2 was a whole entirely different story. Month 1 was definitely like the honeymoon stage. You know, I was very excited, and then it turned into a little bit of stress and I was getting upset, and then eventually we got back into it. I found the love for it again. But just a quick catch up. When I first started learning, I went straight to Free Code Camp, which definitely helped me so much for my HTML and my CSS. If it was not for Free Code Camp, I do not think I would be as good with my HTML and CSS. And I know HTML is probably like way more easier to learn, but still, like, this brain up here, it shouldn't know how to code at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, this brain, I was like, damn, I really know my HTML. And then when CSS came into the picture, CSS still is its own thing. I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but definitely I'm good with the fundamentals. I know, you know, what to follow, how to get certain things to look a certain way. I may need help here and there because I'm not the best, but I could be. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not the best, but definitely if it was not for Free Code Camp, man, I would not have had either of those down whatsoever. Straight up, shout out to them for making that knowledge accessible, because they did such a great job when it came to those courses. They broke everything down in such a clear way. I was knocking out challenges and feeling super productive, and then even based off of those projects, was able to make my own, literally on my own, because of how well they taught it. But I'll definitely keep it real. Those first 2 weeks, they hit me hard because it was a bit stressful, because I ended up getting to a point of like, damn, there was a lot to learn, right? It wasn't about what I was learning and it being hard, but it was just like, damn, there is a whole roadmap ahead of me that is gonna take a while. But I had to come to this overwhelming realization that I'm just not going to know it all in 2 seconds. It's actually gonna take a long time, and that messed me up. But what helped me so much more was the fact that I realized that this was not a race, and I was not in competition with other people. Everyone's learning curve is different, and it's always going to be a learning process, no matter how long you stay in this field. But that mindset shift, really realizing that I didn't need to know everything right away, really changed the game for me. Month 2 was the real struggle. So now let's talk about this. Started very smooth. I was less stressed. I was more in the flow. I had the right mindset. I even thought, okay, I'm getting the hang of this. Then JavaScript entered the chat, and y'all already know where this went. Let me tell you, I hit a wall. JS made me even question if coding was for me. And I also have a video about this as well that was talking about JavaScript making me want to quit. Suddenly, everything slowed down. I opened Free Code Camp, and I was not flying through challenges anymore. I could tell you that much. I was even stuck on one concept for hours. I had to take like a day to just sleep on it and wake up, and still couldn't even comprehend what the hell was going on that page. And that was so frustrating, especially after the momentum of HTML and CSS. And trust me, there were moments with HTML and CSS where I got stuck, but it was nothing like JavaScript. But here's the thing, every time I broke through a hard code with JS or with JavaScript, it was like this weird little adrenaline rush I would get. Like, yo, I actually understand this now. And that is what kept me pushing. So I started pacing myself. Now I try to make it to where I learn at least one thing a day, or understand at least one thing a day. And that might sound slow, because listen, I honestly, compared to other people's journeys, they probably were able to pick it up a bit more. But for me, that's what's working. And that's honestly what you need to do for yourself as well. If you are currently learning, move at your own pace. It is okay if it really is just one thing at a time. If you're struggling, you're struggling. You can't sit there and keep trying to move forward as if you're gonna understand what you don't know already. I take that one concept, I break it down, and then I try to apply it. Maybe even use it in a small project. And that process of truly understanding what I'm using, it has been everything. So I'm gonna break down a clear system of what has been helping me learn, Some people might differ on this. Some people might even say this is tutorial hell, or at least the beginning part of it. I don't think so, but I think this is definitely what has been helping me to the fullest. So if you're learning to, especially through Free Code Camp, this little section right here, what I'm about to tell y'all, should be for you. So number one is to learn the basics. That is whether you're just going through any course like the Odin Project, W3 Schools, Free Code Camp, or even just YouTube courses online, right? Try and get the foundations down for specifically whatever you're trying to learn. Even MDM web documents, I always forget that one. That one's such a good one. But for instance, if you're trying to make a button work, watch a YouTube video about JavaScript with functions that ultimately are, straight up directed to buttons working, or just functions in general, so you can understand and grasp that foundation. Literally meaning understanding the what and the why. I normally like to look up a general overview. I like to ask, how would this be applied? And then number three, project examples of how this would be applied, or why you would need this certain thing in this type of project example, if that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that very well. Number two is to follow a guided project. Now this one, a lot of people would consider to be tutorial hell, but I think if you do it incorrectly, you could fall into that trap. But I think you should follow guided projects, and in these guided projects, they are, of course, they're going to be making projects and you follow along. Now with you doing that, most of the time they explain why they wrote something. Now if they didn't, you could look up on MDM Docs or ChatGPT to get a clear definition of what something is, why something is there, what it is, and what it does, so you could understand that, which is something I have done before previously. But I did follow along a to-do list project with a dude explaining everything he did and why he did it. So you can definitely end up doing the same thing, and that will get you to understand certain pieces of code, and you can even do it for however many times you may need it. But then number three is to build solo. Now maybe let's say you did this to-do list and you needed help in a guided project lesson about 5 times, but now you're feeling a little bit better. You're like, you know what, I think I can build solo. That is what number three is. Start building solo and making those projects on your own. It could be the same project that you followed, but now that you have the knowledge behind it of knowing what you need to do, make those projects, and now you could probably make that another 5 times to really get yourself to understand, okay, this is what makes this button work. This is what makes X work and exits out all of it. This is what you write if you don't want them to be able to add a task. And there's nothing typed in there. This is what you write so they can't add 2 of the same tasks, something like that. And it will end up teaching you in the long run, because you built it over and over and over. First 5 times guided, next 5 times on your own, if that makes sense. You don't have to do 5 times, but that's just the example. But that's normally what I end up following. And that loop, which is learn, build with a guide, and then build on your own, is helping me retain what I learned instead of forgetting it the next day. Another thing too that I think is very helpful are quizzes. I always tell people to do quizzes, but a lot of people tend to say that they think quizzes are unnecessary. I think quizzes is honestly what helps me understand, because you put a quiz in front of me and sometimes it asks about certain definitions, or it even asks you, write this specific code to make this happen, and then it's really helpful. You can ask ChatGPT for your questions, which I think they do very well at. I use ChatGPT as a tutor, and really helps me understand a lot of things. So if you want to end up doing that, that's really up to you. But I think quizzes, and then of course, everything else that I just said is great. But here's my final thoughts on my second month. So the second month has been slower, and it has been tougher, but it also has been more real, because this is where I stopped just learning how to code and where I actually became a developer, and that shift is wild. I'm no expert, not even close. This is literally the first episode I ever posted. Well, maybe not the first one, I think on the 3rd or 4th one was literally my first time ever touching code. So this journey is like a real, raw, realistic journey. I can feel myself growing. I can see myself getting better. I have all these videos. Y'all can even go back to when I didn't even know how to type in HTML to then now I can blossom into what I do now. Even if it is 1 line at a time. If you're out there learning too, learn at your own pace. Take your time. Don't compare yourself to somebody else's journey, especially your day 1 to somebody else's year 5. You are going to hit walls. You are going to feel stuck, but trust me, the breakthroughs are so worth it. If you're looking for a free, well-structured website to end up learning on, I highly recommend Free Code Camp. It helped me go from I don't even know where to start to actually building things and understanding how they work. So that's where I'm at. Month 2 of this coding journey. Still learning, still building, still fighting, still a little bit stressed, but still figuring it out one day at a time. If this resonated with you, let me know how your journey is going so far. Comments, I would love to hear about yours. If you're struggling right now, just remember, you're not behind, you're just getting started. We'll end up seeing you guys in the next one. And make sure y'all subscribe. Follow me along this journey. I've been posting for about 60 days. I think I missed only like 2 episodes throughout this whole process. Come along this journey, man. I'm learning, I'm grinding, I'm sick, and I'm still making videos. You have no excuse. No, I'm just kidding. Stay at your own pace. Don't compare. And you all probably would get further than me. That's how slow I've been moving this month. Y'all could start right now and get further than me in 3 days. Like, that's how slow I've been moving. I've been like, one problem, good. I've been so messed up. I cannot keep pushing. But I hope y'all enjoyed. Deuces.